a framework that allows one to respond to the difficulties and chaos of life with serenity rather than anxiety or unrest, is provided by the teachings of Stoic thinkers such as Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, and others. The cultivation of profound inner serenity and the development of abilities for self-regulation that are useful to us in both good and bad times can be accomplished by adhering to logic-based principles. The goal is not to live a life that is detached and Vulcan-like, but rather to live one's life to the fullest while retaining composure through the application of wisdom and perspective. Here we have top 10 Stoic rules for better life. Number 10. Concentrate solely on the things that are within your power to influence. As Epictetus put it, we always have control over our thoughts, values, and acts. Nevertheless, we do not have control over the events that occur in the outside world. We can aim consistently in a wise direction, much like an archer would, but the conditions, such as the wind, will determine where the arrows land. Quickly remind yourself of the things that are under your control. If you find yourself in a stressful circumstance, invest all of your energy in those things by themselves. It is a waste of time and energy to be preoccupied with health problems, complicated relationships, or financial challenges, because doing so just results in additional distress. In this situation, you can decide to follow the directive of the Serenity Prayer, which is to change what you can and accept what you cannot. Number 9. Don't squander your energy on unwarranted anxiety and tension. Seneca used the analogy of an ant moving a grain of wheat to illustrate how we create our unhappiness by focusing on trivial and inconsequential issues. Whether it be a disrespectful comment made by another person or a slight nuisance, we tend to get worked up over it, turning even the smallest of things into mountains. When you find yourself in a state of distress, take a step back and ask yourself, is this worth sacrificing my tranquility? Should we be concerned about this inconsequential matter tomorrow? Maintain a good perspective on the things that deserve your mental focus. It is important to refrain from creating your sorrow when it is possible to avoid it by concentrating solely on doing good deeds. Number 8. Make it a habit to practice mindfulness of the here and now. According to Marcus Aurelius, anxiety is caused by overly dwelling on regrets from the past or potential consequences for the future. We have very little influence over the past or the future. Thus, we ought to direct our attention to the moment that we are currently experiencing. A distraction from the opponent immediately in front of them, such as thinking about previous rounds or the next contender, is something that boxers cannot afford to consider. By engaging in mindfulness activities consistently, you can maintain a strong connection to the here and now, much like a dancer who is completely into their choreography. Please pay attention to the sights, sounds, and bodily sensations that you experience, as well as your thoughts, when they threaten to transport you away psychologically. Number 7. Remain calm through the use of reasoned opinions. In his work, Zeno argued that man is not disturbed by circumstances, but rather by the perspectives he takes on those events. Two individuals may go through the identical experience, yet their emotional responses may be quite different from one another. Stoics, following in the footsteps of Socrates, held the belief that wisdom, justice, and courage are the results of carefully reasoning about every challenge that we encounter. Take the time to properly assess the situation, rather than allowing yourself to be caught up in impulsive reactions when you are stressed out by things that are happening outside of you. Before passing judgment on the events, whether they are positive or negative, it is important to consider the facts. Number 6. Acknowledge the things that a person cannot alter. It is important to remember the metaphor of the dog and the moving cart. The dog barks at the wagon with the vain goal of stopping it, but he is unaware that his actions cause unnecessary disruptions. When we are confronted with uncontrollable events, we allow ourselves to get emotionally exhausted and play the role of the demanding dog. A quote attributed to Aurelius states that loss is nothing else but change. Having composure means concentrating solely on the things that we can change through the application of sound judgment and taking everything else at face value. Resentment and turmoil are the only outcomes that result from making judgments about the circumstances being unfair. Number 5. Consider obstacles to be opportunities instead. In the same way that mountain goats are made stronger by rocky terrain, they are also made more resilient by insurmountable obstacles. To make progress in one's own life, Seneca advocated for the recognition of every obstacle as a stepping stone. Make progress by using discomfort as a source of motivation. According to a rational analysis of failures as learning opportunities, failures frequently teach more than successes. Adopting this growth mindset allows us to let go of regrets and frustrations. Like gold refined by flames, we emerge calmer and brighter from adversity. Number 4. Perform virtuous acts with excellence. Leader Maximus in Gladiator's movie directed his actions excellently in battle, despite encroaching death. At my signal, unleash hell. Like the ideal Stoic sage, expend worry over events outside your control and instead focus entirely on giving each task, however humble, your utmost for its own sake. Cheerfully carry out acts of justice, courage, charity, and compassion. In letting go of desired outcomes, joy arises from the excellence of each moral deed itself. By directing attention ultimately to an activity, calmness prevails regardless of external praise, blame, or indifference from others. Results may vary, but self-satisfaction remains from doing good. Number 3. Let go of aspirations for things that you do not own. According to the Stoic philosophy, the source of sadness is an inordinate craving for things that we do not possess. As a result of evaluating our current situation to be inadequate, we experience feelings of envy, avarice, irritation, and rage. If one's preferred indifference, such as wealth, prestige, or luxuries, does not materialize, an excessive attachment to these things disrupts one's inner peace. Having the ability to master evaluations of things as being excessively good or bad is the source of true peace. The Stoic philosopher Cleanthes exhibited the concept of living a joyful life on bread and water by demonstrating that moderation in wishes enables acceptance and even welcome of minimal food when followed. Number 2. Look at other people and events in a neutral manner. Marcus Aurelius pondered the fact that our perceptions of the world are significantly more influential than the events that occur between us. It is only when you incorrectly infer that I am being wronged rather than this person is misguided that you will experience the agony that comes from being insulted by another person. Observe the happenings with a reasonable detachment. Nothing that is not within your ethical choices may cause you damage. Epictetus proposed that when people are experiencing distress, it is frequently due to views that events rather than the events themselves. Asking yourself, is this thought true or just an opinion, is a sensible way to examine impressions that have become hardened. Determining that something is offensive, irritating, or bad for me is a source of unrest, whereas maintaining objectivity helps one to maintain equilibrium in the face of adversity. Number 1. Make your life by the laws of nature and logic. The Stoics observed that animals can follow their instincts without experiencing any concern about conforming to their inclinations. When we are in harmony with the cosmic rules and the qualities that have been implanted in us, we can live a streamlined life. Who among the social beings who are sensible would find it objectionable to commit acts of injustice, folly, or wholesomeness? It is only corrupted rationalizations that can change the course of nature. Like Socrates, Stoics placed a higher weight on the wisdom that was derived from logic than they did on instinct or emotion. Make it possible for reasonable deliberation to take precedence over bad judgments. By succeeding at what is by our best selves being thoughtful, just, moderate, and courageous, we can acquire this state of calmness. It is important to practice realigning with universal reason by engaging in daily self-reflection, engaging in self-dialogue, and contemplating role models to overcome erroneous judgments that are generating unnecessary disruptions. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more videos.